Do you want to know some secrets as to what can help you get your mortgage application approved? I'm going to be walking through a loan application today, and I'm going to take you from start to finish so you see all the questions, you know how to answer them, and you can feel more confident the next time you talk to a loan officer about buying a home. If this is the first time that you're checking out my channel, my name is Seanu Uyehara. I'm a branch manager with Loan Depot, and it wasn't long ago I was just like you, looking to buy my first home, buy an investment property, and trying to understand this crazy mortgage industry that we're in right now. I created my channel to help you navigate the mortgage waters and get your mortgage right. We put out content every single week. If you have questions, make sure to send me an email. And if you need a second opinion or pre-approval anywhere across the country, we got you covered. And make sure to like and subscribe to my channel because I appreciate all the love that you guys show us. I wanted to dive deep today on a loan application and take you from start to finish so you truly see the questions that are going to be asked of you while you're applying and the things that you need to be prepared for so that way you can give yourself the best chance at getting your loan approved and qualified so you can start shopping for a home. So let's get started. I'm going to walk you through one of our Loan Depot loan applications that we use online. You would simply go to my website, which you can find in the description below to get started. And all you're going to do is hit apply now, which will then take you to the online application. And this kind of gives you a phone demo of what it's going to look like on your mobile device. So today we're going to be looking at purchasing. If you already own a home, you would click the refinance button if you're looking to refinance. We're just going to put some generic information in here so that way you can see the basic information that we're going to be needing. Phone, your address, very basic. Save and hit next. With Loan Depot, the benefit of working with us is we have an amazing tech platform that is designed to help you as the home buyer and homeowner get through the process with a lot less headache. So do we have a specific property in mind? The answer is no. Again, this is for a purchase. So you're just looking to get pre-approved. This is where you would start. Were you referred to us by anyone, whether it was a family member, coworker, or anyone else, or do you work with a current real estate agent at the moment? And where are you looking to buy your home? So again, if you're thinking about relocating across the country, we don't need an exact number as to how much you're looking to borrow. We just need a rough ballpark because no matter what, once we start diving into your application and we get your income and we get your assets and we pull your credit, we're going to then figure out how much home you can truly afford. So this part of the application is just a rough ballpark. And how will you use this home? It's a pretty significant question to know because it has to either be your primary residence, which is a home that you would live in, or a vacation home, which for a lot of you that are looking to relocate to other parts of the country, let's say you live in Minnesota and you're buying a home in Phoenix, Arizona. So you're considered one of the snowbirds where you'd like to buy a home in a warmer climate. So that way, when it gets cold during the winter, you would then visit your vacation home or your second home in the Phoenix market. You would check the second home box, or if you're an investor looking to buy the house and you would use it as a rental, you would check the investment box. And of course, we need to know your marital status. And here's another key thing to remember. If you're buying a home in a community property state and you are applying for any sort of VA or FHA or USDA type of financing, anything that's backed by the government, we will have to take into account your spouse's debt. I told a horror story about a client that was separated from his wife for 20 years. They still talked here and there, but this guy has totally moved on with his life, and so has she. But when we ran his application, he told us he was single. And in the 11th hour, through some of our verifications we do on the back end, we found out this guy was still legally married. And unfortunately for me, I had to call his wife. And let me tell you, when I have to call someone's wife after them being divorced for a number of years and say, hey, I need to pull your credit because your ex-husband is buying a house, it doesn't always go over well. So if you are separated but still legally married and trying to get FHA or VA financing in a community property state, I would suggest getting ahead of the curve and let's go have that conversation now and get whatever paperwork we need to get started to get the divorce going, because it is something a lender is going to have to address. You can't hide it from us. We're going to find out about it. So you might as well let the cat out of the bag now versus the 11th hour like my client did. But to his defense, he didn't do it maliciously. He just didn't think it was a big deal. And luckily we were able to get around it and we got him into his house. So we're going to select unmarried for our application. Are you including a co-borrower on the loan? The answer is no. Again, if you are applying for a mortgage and you have a spouse, or maybe your parents are going to be applying with you, make sure that they're there when you're applying, because we're going to need their information as well. And it just helps to speed the process up and get through everything a lot faster. If you are a veteran and you think you're eligible for VA financing, we would need to know that question. So thank you for your service if you are. And VA loans, as you know, I'm a huge advocate for and think that it's one of the best programs in order to buy a home. What is your current living situation? Are you a current homeowner? Do you rent? Are you living with family? Those are the things that we're going to need to know. Again, for our case, our client is a renter. And how much do you pay in rent? If you're living with roommates, we need to know that. We need to know how much you're paying them in rent. And also, do you pay in cash or do you pay with a check? How is your rental payments paid? Because we have to be able to verify how much money you are paying for rent, so that way we can properly document your application. Again, this is nothing to be afraid of or ashamed of. Just communicate with your loan officer so that way they can best set you up for success when it comes to financing your home. And one of the questions that we're going to ask as far as your living situation is, how long have you been living there? Now, the rule of thumb in lending is typically 2 years across the board for many things. So the number 2 is very common within our industry. Now, your living situation, we're going to want to see, where have you been living for the last 2 years? If you've moved around, I've been here for 6 months, I was living with a friend for 6 months, we're going to need to know all that information. So this is actually one of the main tips, is start to go back and document where you're living. Because if you don't know, your loan officer is going to have to keep probing and ask you questions. So you can't just get away on the application saying, I don't know, and I'm not going to tell you, because we need to know that. So it is a hurdle that we're going to have to overcome with you. Again, this is a made up application. So we're going to need your social, we're going to need your birthday. This is part of running your credit report. Some people will do a soft credit check. Me and my team, we don't do soft credit checks. We do hard credit pulls, because I need to figure out how to get you approved for your mortgage. If we're going to go through the process, let's go through the process. There's no point in taking shortcuts or doing it halfway just to get an answer. I want to make sure that if we're spending time together, we are doing the right things, because just like if you go to the doctor, if you're feeling sick, the nurse needs to take your diagnosis so the doctor can best prescribe and get you feeling better. Same thing with us as a mortgage lender. I need to figure out what your credit is. I need to see what your income is. I need to see your assets, your debts, all the collections, all the good, the bad, the ugly, so I can determine what's the best way that we need to adjust certain things, we need to pay things off, and give you those recommendations so that way we can get you to become a homeowner. And one of the cool things with our technology here at Loan Depot, once you fill this portion out of the application, you can actually see your own credit report. So you're going to get your 3 credit scores. And remember, we use the middle score when it comes to qualifying you for the mortgage. We don't take an average. It's simply whichever credit bureau lands directly in the middle is your qualifying score for the mortgage. And if you have multiple people that are going on the home loan, we will take the lowest mid score of all the credit applicants that are on the application. So this is super important to know, because let's say you're applying and you have a 600 credit score, but hey, my mom has an 800. I'm going to put my mom on the loan and we can use the 800. That's not how it works. I still have to use your 600. So that's why, again, we need to get to the root of the problem as fast as possible so we can correct it. If it's credit, maybe we pay a few things off. Maybe you pay down some of your credit cards in order to boost your score up. That's why we always want to do a hard check, so we know what the facts are, so we can get you in the right position to be able to qualify. Our declaration questions. This is where I see people make the most mistakes doing the application, because you're probably like me, you don't read things well and you just check no and go down the line. But let's walk through some of these just so you have an understanding. Do you have any outstanding judgments against you? That's pretty straightforward. You should know if you have any outstanding judgments against you. Have you declared bankruptcy within the last 7 years? Again, this is not for us to judge you. There's certain programs that have a certain waiting period after bankruptcies in order for you to qualify. I see clients check no all the time when they've had bankruptcies. Guys, if you had a bankruptcy, I'm pretty sure you are aware of it. Do not lie to us about that. We're going to find out regardless, because it shows up on your credit report. Have you had a property foreclosed upon within the last 7 years? Again, we're not judging you here. We just need to know what the facts are. If you did, tell us and let's do some research, because we need to know, when did it truly foreclose on you? Back in the foreclosure days, homes would go back to the bank, but the banks would take months to even record them. So there's a lot of misinformation that we have to get to the bottom of to really see, when did that home go back to the lender? Are you a party to a lawsuit? We need to know that. Yes or no? Again, just be straightforward with us so we can get through the application and help you. Have you you directly or indirectly been obligated on any loan which resulted in foreclosure, transfer of title in lieu of foreclosure judgment? Yes or no? Again, a straightforward question. You should know the answer to that. You should not hesitate answering that question. Are you presently delinquent or in default of any federal debt? Again, you would know if you're not paying your bills. Please answer that question honestly. Are you obligated to pay any alimony, child support? Again, there's nothing to be afraid of here. I have a daughter. I pay child support. It comes directly out of my check. So again, you lie on this part of the application, and let's say you're like me, where it comes automatically out of your paycheck. When I ask you for 1 month of pay stubs, I'm going to see it. Now there's discrepancies on your application, which I have to do more digging, and I'm going to ask you more questions. Is any part of the down payment being borrowed? Yes or no? Are you a co-maker or endorser on a note? Are you a US citizen? Do you intend to occupy the property as your primary residence? Yes or no? This is a very serious question because I get many people that listen to these people on social media, all these influencers about house hacking or buying investment properties with no money down, and all these crazy tactics that try to get people into homes, and you are essentially lying to the lender to buy a property. Do not do that. Lenders will do occupancy checks. Many people don't ever talk about this. This is where they actually send someone to the house, or they actually try to verify if you as a homeowner are living there. I've had clients lie to us that have gotten in trouble for this because they didn't think that no one would check. They didn't think that how would the bank know if I'm actually living there or not? Guys, do not dance in the gray area. Unless you want to wear an orange jumpsuit, I strongly suggest you steer clear from any of these types of activities. Just be truthful on the application. And have you had any homeownership interest in a property in the last 3 years? Again, you should know if you've owned a property or not. Very straightforward. Now we're on to the monitoring questions. This is for HMDA purposes, where we will look at your ethnicity, your sex, things of that nature. You don't have to necessarily disclose this if you don't want to, but most people end up doing it anyway. So that's totally up to you. It's your prerogative whether or not you want to answer it. Now we're moving on to the income portion. Again, like I mentioned, the number 2, in this case, we're also looking at 2 years like we also did for the living situation. I'm going to need to know your last 2 years history of your working situation. So for our client, he's employed, but you can see here the options. If you're self-employed, great. You're going to check that box. If you get military pay, or even if you're retired, how much are you receiving in your pension or your social security? Many of you still feel that you have to actively be working to purchase a home, which is totally false. You can be retired. As long as we can verify your income, we can use that to qualify you for the mortgage. So our client is employed. Now, based on your social security number and the information that you've provided us, if your information is in one of the large payroll databases out there, like an ADP or a work number or anything like that, that your company may utilize, we could probably pull a lot of your work information and income information directly from those sites. So like I mentioned, at Loan Depot, we have a lot of technology, and this is one of them. This helps streamline the process a lot quicker. So you can see for our client here, he's been at his job for over 2 years. Again, just like the living situation, if you've moved around with your jobs, I'm going to ask you those questions. How long have you been there? What was your job title? How much did you get paid? We're going to need the phone number, the address, and all that good stuff. So another tip, if you're not familiar with all that information, start doing some research now. Again, just so that way it can make the application a lot smoother and go through a lot faster. Now we're on to the asset portion. And we're always going to ask for the last 2 months of bank statements. Now, there's 2 ways that we can go about this. You can either verify your information online, which is what I'm going to walk through right now, or you can provide us those 2 months of statements. Now, here's another tip. If you're providing the statements, make sure to provide all pages. If there's 5 pages, and typically what happens on the bank statement, on the last page, it's blank. And it literally says, this page is intended to be blank. The lender still needs that. So don't send us 4 out of 5, send 5 out of 5 pages. Because I can tell you, one of the most common responses that I get from clients is I say, hey, Joe, you've only sent me 4 out of your 5 pages of your bank statement. I need the last page. And you know what you're going to tell me? It's blank. I threw it away. Well, Joe, I still need 5 out of 5 pages. Guys, don't argue with us about this. This is something that every lender is going to ask you for. If you don't want to dig it up, pay attention to this part of the application, because this is where we can verify your information through your bank account. So you're going to simply log in through our portal, and you're going to check which accounts that you actually want to give us access to be able to verify. So in this case, our client's just going to verify his checking account, and we're going to hit finish. Actually, we're going to hit add another account because he has a retirement account as well. So we're going to log into a Fidelity account. We're going to attach the 401k to this application as reserves. And you can see he's got $314,000. Excellent type of client. Not that you need to have that kind of money, but hey, if you do and we need the reserves or anything like that, it obviously helps get the approval a lot quicker. Now let's run through the application again from start to finish. We're going to start off with your personal information: name, address, date of birth, social, phone number, all that basic information. We're going to need to know that. Do you have a property in mind? If so, how much? What's your budget? Again, it doesn't need to be to the penny, just need a ballpark because we need somewhere to start. Your current living situation. And again, what's the number we're looking for? Comment below, see if you were paying attention, and the employment situation as well. Again, it's the same number. So if you guys know that, make sure to comment below so I know that you guys were paying attention to the number that I gave you as to what we're going to be needing to verify. Bank and asset information, same thing. You have the choice of either providing us the statements or you can digitally verify your assets, which again, just saves time. Once all that's completed, you're going to hit submit, and now your application has been completed. Those are some of the main questions that any mortgage lender is going to ask you to get through a loan application. Now, if you are unsure about any of those facets of the application, don't hesitate to have that conversation with your lender. No question is off the table. There's no such thing as a stupid question, because I would rather have the client ask something so we can discuss it and get it out in the air versus us gathering documentation, finding out during the process that you didn't tell us something, you withheld information. Now we're going to start digging, and it only raises red flags that we have to make sure that we verify in order for us to feel comfortable about issuing a loan approval for you. Now, if you follow these steps, this will help you get through the process. This will help you and your loan officer work towards getting your loan approved. But if you ever need a second opinion, don't forget, that's what I'm here for. You can always send me an email. You can hit the description below and actually get started on your own application if you're ready to purchase or refinance anywhere across the country. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.